Okay. So on Google, you type control language, and it will take you to control language IBM I as one of the resource that will show up in the list. When you click on that link, it will take you to the IBM I control language resource, where you'll be able to see the commands. Right underneath that, on my screen, you guys also see OCL, which is control language, OCL. That was used by the ZOS. That is used by ZOS. ZOS is the IBM's operating system for mainframes. And iOS is the IBM's operating system for mid-range. So you guys are learning about mid-range platform, okay? Now over here, you see a lot of things related to the control language. And one of the items on the left-hand side says CL Command Finder. CL Command Finder, okay? When I click on it, it takes me to this page where it says, okay, you can find commands by name. So for example, if I go under find by name and I type library and okay, hit go, it takes me to all the commands that are associated with the word library. Anything related to library. It could be adding a library to a library list, to changing the library, list, and a long list of commands, all related to library. If you want to go back to Finder, you simply hit the back button, backlink, and let's say if I want to look at the command about user. Okay, so this is Information Center, something related to how you can go about finding stuff related to IBM commands. So that's on the internet. You can type control language and you can go and find the commands. Okay. Now, let me go back to this screen. On this screen, doesn't matter what you search for, if you ended up with a list of items like these, and you click on any one of these items or any one of these links, it will take you to a little detailed help. It's like extended help. This is where you get to see the keywords, which are called part of parameters, right? These are parameters, keywords, possible values. If it's required or optional, it tells you that under the notes section on the right-hand side. You keep coming down, it tells you what those parameters mean, what are the possible values, what those values represent, and you keep coming down in the list, and that's what it shows you. In most cases, it will show you an example so that you understand what that does. And also, this is more or less for your next class, which is control language programming in spring. But it also tells you error messages, that if you ever ran a command and you got an error message, this is a good place for you to come and check to see what those error messages mean. Any questions so far? Everybody get to see that? Okay. What is the fourth type of screen? List. As Daniela said, list. What is the difference between list and others? How will you differentiate? It's a list screen. Look at page number 23. Look at the bottom of page 23. figure 1.18. I want you to compare these three pictures. I'm telling you in the chat what those three pictures. I want you to compare these three pictures. And then tell me in the chat, what is 1.16? What kind of screen is 1.16, 1.17, and 1.18? What kind of screens are these? Yep, I got it. 1.16 is menu. How did you know it's menu? How can you tell? You look for the four things a menu must have. It must have a header. Did you see a header at the top? It has a list of items, a command prompt, and a function key. Meets all four criteria, it's a menu. How do you know the second one is a prompt? Because when you look at it, it has a field where you want to fill in description on the left, possible set of values on the right, no menu-like entries. The last one is a list with screen, and in list with screens, you do not have menu items. Rather, you have fill in the blanks on the left-hand side. What goes in those fill in the blanks are the options that are listed right above, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each of the options you can see in figure 1.18 has some descriptions to it as to what those options mean. And that's exactly what represents a list with screen. Does that make sense to all of you? Okay. So all four types of screens are summarized in bullet points on page number 24. Are the commands on this operating system case sensitive?
No.
No, they're not. Okay. What is the maximum length of your user profile or username in your user profile? Maximum length for your username.
Is it 10?
10 characters. Very good. Okay. Which function key do you press to bring prompt?
F4.
Which function key for canceling?
Is it 13?
F12?
F12.
12.
What is F13 for?
Is that the assistant one?
Is for the information center.
Or yeah,
Okay. And what is for help?
F1.
Extended help.
F2.
How do you go through the history of the commands that you have already typed? Going through the history of the commands that you've typed in that session.
Is it retrieve? Yeah, F9.
F9. Okay. If you are on the prompt screen shows you parameters, optional and what kind of other parameters? Optional and?
Is it required?
Required. Okay. It only shows you required by default. How can you bring the optional ones? What function key do you press to bring optional parameters?
F10.
F10. Yep, exactly. Exactly. Okay. Now, let's all log into the green screen. So I will share my screen as well. So give me 1 minute till I bring up my screen here. Okay. And we'll go gtc.onelogin.com. And then we'll click on the V2 Cloud. Let me get my authentication. And let me connect to the desktop. Now, this is where I sign in with my Blackboard credentials. Sometimes people make this mistake that they sign in over here with the IBM machine credentials. This is strictly for signing in with your Blackboard credentials. After that, after you sign in to the V2 Cloud, it may give you some pop-ups about, Skype and stuff like that. We don't need to do this. Skip for now. Close. Okay. So which application should I open to access 5250 emulator?
Is it the Access Solutions?
Access Solutions, ACS, Access Client Solutions. In the ACS, when you are firing it up for the very first time, what is it that you have to do, but you don't have to do it every time? Only when you're doing it the first time. What is it that you have to make sure?
If you're in the right system, maybe.
Very good. You need to
System
check the name of the
configuration.
system. The system should be deathstar.gtc.edu. If the system is not Death Star, rather it looks like select a system like this drop-down box. First of all, you should see if the drop-down box had Death Star in it. If it does, you should choose that. If it does not, where should you go?
System configuration.
System configurations. Then you click new, and then you type deathstar.gtc.edu, and then you press OK, and that gets added in the list of the servers. And then you can hit close, and then you can come back and choose Death Star. It doesn't automatically get picked up. And then you can click on 5250 emulator, and that helps you sign into the system. Okay, so this is the green screen. I sign into the system. This is the initial program I told you guys about. And this is the main menu, the initial menu. Does anybody remembers the command we use to enable somebody's profile that is disabled?
Was it 4?
No, it's a command.
Oh, is it the library one?
Nope. Where is the
Change
user? Say it again.
Change user profile, I think.
Okay. Oh, you're close. You're close. The set of properties that represent a user is called user profile. So the command has to have user profile in it. It is called WRK for work, USR for user, and PRF for profile. Work, user, profile. Okay. Space. What am I about to type after the space? What goes after a command, after space?
A library, maybe? I don't know.
You guys already answered that question earlier on when we were reviewing chapter 1. Very good, Ian. It's parameter. Okay. In this case, the parameter is, a user profile, IBM user profile. Am I the only one who got disconnected?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get back in. Okay. Okay. So we will look at Rail's profile. So ITPA, Rail, what are your 3 digits?
674.
Okay. And what screen is this, guys?
Is that the prompt? No. Yeah. No. That's
It's
the
list screen, not
list.
prompt, right? Because prompt has in the middle a long line, list has options at the top, and you can choose one of those options. Okay. So I want to check Rail's profile, user profile. Which option should I pick?
Two.
2. Okay. Enter. So if you notice, Rail's status is set to disabled, and I will enable it. Okay. Oops. Went too far. Once I change the status to enabled, I'll press enter. But before I press enter, I want to show you guys something. Notice user class. What is the user class right now for Rail?
PGMR.
Which is
Programmer.
Yeah.
programmer. Okay. And how many total user classes do we have?
4.
4. Okay. How many are listed on that line? How many are listed on that line of user class?
3.
3. That means there's one more. If I want to see that one more, what should I do?
Press F10.
No. I don't need to see additional parameters. I need to see more values for that particular entry. I'm going to see more values for that entry. I press F4. Okay. So when I press F4, it just shows me that you have security officer, programmer, and user, and system operator. Okay. And we created one more called security admin. Okay. So if I want to leave it like that, I'll just press F12 to come out of here. And then I'll press enter. Okay. When I press enter, it says that the profile has changed. Rail, can you try and let me know that you're able to get in without a problem?
Yeah, I'm in.
Awesome. Awesome. So everybody go as far as the green screen is. Which command do we use to open a menu? The command is go, G-O, go. Okay, that's it. If I know the name of the menu, I can type go space and the name of the menu, and that menu will be triggered. Okay. Before we practice that, let's answer Ian's question. Okay, I'm on the main menu. There is a way to reset the password or change the password to something else. Okay. Which of these 11 options should I pick? What do you think?
User task.
Number 1, enter. Okay. Which of the options should I pick next?
8.
Number 8, enter. Okay. Now it asks me to enter my current password, tab, new password, tab, re-enter the new password, and then I press enter, and that's when the password's actually changed. Okay. Got it, Ian? Oh, you want me to change your password so that you can log in and then you can reset it? Okay, I'll do that. Okay. Practice. What command should I type to change Ian's password?
Is it work user? I forgot the last part.
What's the last
Profile.
part? Is anybody else?
Profile?
Profile. Okay. Then what do I do after I type this?
Space.
Okay.
His
Okay.
ID number.
Yes. And what is your ITPA, Ian? Okay. Okay. Which option should I pick?
2.
And I will change 2 properties for him. I will make this to enabled. And then I will change this to
None.
new pass for now. Okay, all lowercase. I'll press enter. So, Ian, you should try now with new pass. And let me know when you're in.
Just to confirm, so as you put in a new password, you said lowercase, but it still doesn't matter if you had case sensitive, or it does?
Passwords are case sensitive. I purposely didn't do it for the default password, not to confuse people.
Okay.
Otherwise, they may disable their accounts again. So keep it simple for now. Okay. So now, I was telling you that if we know the name of the menu, we can use a command to get to that menu. What command did I tell you?
Go.
Go. Okay. So the name of the menu is major. I will type, and we can all type this together. Go space major, and the commands are not case sensitive. So go space major and hit enter. And here you are in the menu. How can you tell it's a menu?
The header.
Very good. The header is the main differentiation between menus and utilities. Okay. Okay. Let me have 3 out of here. Is this a menu?
Yes.
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 Yep.
Now, let's say I want to start a utility and the name of the utility is PDM. How can I start the utility PDM?
Wait, what'd you say? What was the question?
I want to start a utility by the name of PDM. How can I start?
Is it CRT?
No, CRT will be create. I want
STRT PDM.
STR, that's it. STR. STR PDM. So all things are max 3 letters. Go is the only exception. There are 3 letters, PDM, and enter. Is this a menu?
No.
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 You can tell right away. No menu ID, no menu description, and no system ID, is just one long description of the utility, which is PDM. Okay. So let's say if I make a choice here and I choose option number 3 and hit enter. Let's all choose option number 3 and hit enter. What screen are we on right now?
Is it the list? No. It's the prompt.
Prompt, okay. If I change my mind, what should I do?
Hit F12.
F12 or F3 doesn't matter here, okay. So it will kick me out back to here, okay. Now choose option number 1 and hit enter. What kind of screen is this?
Is it still the prompt screen?
Still the prompt screen. Very good. Okay. Do you guys have the same values as I do?
Yes.
So what do you guys think LIBL means?
Library? I mean, no.
Library list?
LIBL.
Library list. Library list. Okay. What is a library? What is a library?
List of values.
Ian got it. It's the IBM's version of a folder. However, there's one more detail you need to understand. Folders on Windows, are they physical or logical?
They're physical.
Physical.
Folders on Windows are logical pointers. You create 1 million folders, they don't occupy any space until and unless you start putting objects in them or files in them on Windows machine. So if I create a folder on Windows machine, let's say I right click on it and I say new folder, and this is my new folder, and I want to show you the size of this folder by going to properties. What is the size? 0. Exactly. So it's 0. So it holds nothing. Folder is a logical demarcation, not a physical demarcation. Okay. So libraries are not like folders. Why? Because libraries are objects. They have name and they occupy space. These are specially designed objects which hold references for other objects. They're meant to organize your objects. So the whole purpose of a library is that it is an object that is used to organize the other objects. So library actually holds a reference pointers to where which object is located. And again, we will be going into chapter number 3 today, where we'll be learning about all of these things in detail today, so that you understand the architecture of how things are stored on this operating system. Okay? Okay. Now let's all press enter here. And when we press enter here, it will take us to this screen. I see that Michael Norvals has joined us. Hi, Michael. Welcome. Thank you for joining. And to answer Ian's question, yes, it does not contain other objects. It only holds the pointers to where they are. Okay. And what kind of pointers they are, we'll explore that today. Okay. Michael, I want you to sign into the green screen. Let me know when you're in. For the rest of you, what kind of screen am I looking at right now?
The list screen.
Okay, very good. List screen. Okay. You can see that you have a bunch of items on the left. You have list options at the top. Okay. This is a place where someone would go to see what? What is it that I'm looking at right now? I am looking at my, what does it say under list type? I'm looking
Library.
I am looking
Library
at my
list.
library list. Okay. I'm looking at those containers that are listed as the first level of search. Again, we'll explore that in detail in chapter 3 today. Out of these libraries, if you look at the type column, how many types do you see? Unique types.
Eight.
4. No.
4.
4? Yeah, 4. You're right. 4. Okay. 4 types. System libraries, production libraries, current library, and a user library. Those are the 4 different kinds of libraries you will have. System values you'll learn about in chapter 12. So chapter number 2, which will be next week, about the different library types. But just so that you know, you can only have one and only one current library. That's where all of your objects go by default. Okay. And to answer or to correct the statement Ian wrote earlier in the chat, is that this is all of your libraries? No. You could have more libraries than what is listed in your library list. So that's why the correct answer would be that you are looking at your library list, not all your libraries. Okay. Okay, now let me F3 out of here. Okay. And go all the way to the main menu. Michael, are you in? Okay, awesome. Are you on the main menu? What command do we use for opening a menu? What command do we use to open a menu?
F4.
No, command.
Oh, my bad.
What command do we use to open a menu?
Is it one of the 11 options?
No, commands are not options. Commands have to be spelled out.
Oh,
Okay. Options are there so that you can use them for different operations. But commands have to be written.
STR.
How many of you watch football?
That's football.
Football, the American football.
Oh, okay, that's soccer. Got it.
Yeah, I know. I know. We have different standards than the rest of the world.
Yeah.
We barely play with our feet, but we call it football. And the people who play with their foot, almost 99% of the time they're playing with the ball, we call it soccer.
Because it makes sense.
Right? It makes sense, right? That you're really playing with your feet. So we will call it football. No, we'll call it soccer. So here, the American football, when you are rooting for a team, what do you say?
Go.
Go.
Go Pack, go.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness.
Yes. So go is the command to open a menu. So if I type go and I put a space, that means I'm about to type a parameter. I want you to type a command go space type verb, V-E-R-B, verb. Go space verb. and hit enter. Now, these are all the commands that are verb commands. If you look at the first word, they're all verbs for all of these items. Add, allocate, answer, ask, auditing, call, clear. These are all verb commands. So they are inside a menu called verb. F3 to come back. Now, go space LIC PGM. What do you think this is? LIC PGM.
License program.
Yeah. Press enter. Go space LIC PGM and then press enter. On this screen, which option should I pick? Oh, by the way, is this a menu?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay. On this menu, what option should I pick if I want to see the installed license programs?
10.
11.
11
Oh, yeah.
or
10.
10? 10. Because this is installed license program. I don't want to install a new one. If I want to install a new one, then I'll push 11. Okay. 10. And I want you to go through this list. Okay. Now, this has more than one pages. How do I know?
It says I press enter to
It's
continue.
more.
It is as
Or more.
more, right? And then you can page down through the licensed software, and you can see there's so many of them, right? You can see that it has a software to run Java. It's compatible. Java Standard Edition is installed on it. Okay. You go down, it has ILE RPG to writing RPG code and running it. It has DB2 query in it. It has older versions of RPG, which was RPG 400 on it. There's a System 38 compatible RPG, which was RPG 3. It can do that too. It has a licensed program to run C, COBOL, C++, and multiple types of C++. ILE C++ and IXLC C++. And you can keep going down till you reach the page where you can see that it actually has servers installed on it, like IBM Zen server. What is IBM Zen server used for? For running PHP on it. So if you want to create a web server, you have a web server installed on it. It can support XML. It can support XSL. You know, all of these software are installed on it. And you do page up, it takes you through other items.
How are you able to scroll down like that? I try to hit enter and then it takes me back to the
Well,
other screen from.
You have to press page down.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. And how did I get this far, guys? What command did I type to come here?
Go. Verb.
Go.
Go. What would be the short for a licensed program?
Oh no.
LIC.
PGM. Okay, LIC. Oops, LIC PGM. Okay. And which option did I pick after that?
10.
10.
10.
Okay. Next, I want you to click on where it says licensed program in the column heading anywhere. And you can see a blinking cursor, right? Or you can see, you know, there is a cursor underneath the letter, any of the letters in licensed programs. Then press on the keyboard F1. And notice a little help shows up to tell you what the licensed program means. So you can even ask for help on column headings. And I'll tell you what that is for. Anywhere you get stuck and you don't know what it is, just click on it and press F1. If you want more, you press F2 and it'll take you to the detailed help. Okay. Otherwise, you can press F3 and all help will close. Okay. Now on this screen, press F11. And you see the license program, you see the installed release, and then you see the description. So you have install status. The install status is what you were seeing before that tell you if it was compatible, if it was installed correctly. You know, all of these things can be seen with the help of F11. I'm back to the main menu. Now type go space major and you are in the major menu. Can I go to the main menu by simply typing go space main also?
No.
Yes. Why? Because that's what the menu name is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you know the name of the menu or the ID of the menu, you can just type go space and that ID and it'll take you to that menu. Okay. If I choose option number 7, which menu will I go? Which menu will I go to?
A prompt menu.
No, option number 7 from the main menu.
The work management commands.
If I choose option 7 on the main menu,
From the main, I'm in the wrong menu.
yeah. So when I choose option number 7 on the main menu and I hit enter, what menu am I in right now?
You're in the main.
You're still in the main menu.
I'm not in the main menu.
Well, not main menu, but you're in
No, I changed my menu. What menu am I in right now?
Oh yeah, you did.
What name do you see in the top left corner?
the define.
Ah, right. So I'm in the define menu. Okay, let's do it again. Let's go back to the main menu. And which option did I choose to go to the define menu?
7.
7. So let's press 7 and press enter, and I am in the define menu.
Sorry. I thought you said the reason why I wasn't on the same page is because I thought there was something added to it as another command to get to the
Oh.
page you were at.
No,
That's why I was confused.
no problem. Okay. Now on this menu, if I choose option number 8, and press enter. Is that a menu?
No.
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 What kind of screen is this?
Prompt.
Or
Library list.
No. What kind of screen is this? Screen
System
name.
values?
Say it again.
Work system values? Oh,
No. That's the description of the screen. What kind of screen is this? Is this a help screen? Is this a menu? Is this a prompt? Or is this a list with?
is
Dante, what did you say?
the prompt screen?
I think you guys are getting confused still. I want you to look at pages 22 and 23. Which one of the pictures between 1.16, 1.17, 1.18,
Worker library.
pages 22, 23? Which one of the three between 1.16, 1.17, 1.18 does this resembles
Okay.
with?
This is a list.
Exactly, list.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. What does prompt has that list doesn't?
Oh yeah, I see the difference.
There is a fill in the
Prompt
blank
has-
right in the middle,
Yeah.
a big one, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
this is a list with screen. Okay. I know for some of you who got this already, you may be getting annoyed by me taking through so many screens and asking the same questions. But my whole point is to show you guys enough so that you get good at it, remembering what type of screen it is. Okay.
Hey, it's part of the education,
Yeah.
trial and error.
Yes. So if some people get it, some people, get it after seeing it for a few times. So perfectly fine. Okay. So what kind of screen is this?
List.
A
List
list.
screen. Okay. So if I see any of these items here that start with the letter Q, what does that mean? Q. Anything that starts with the letter Q. It means it is IBM supplied. IBM supplied. Okay. All of these are IBM supplied system. That's why they're called system values, right? They're provided to you by the operating system. That's why when you go through this list, all of them start with the letter Q. Right? Okay, let me F3 out of here. All the way back to the main menu. So I'll have to press F3 maybe a couple times before I can go all the way to the main menu. You guys already know that anything that starts with an asterisk is a system value, right? And that's what you need to feed in where it says system values need to be fed. How do you sign off from the main menu?
90.
90, okay. Let's press 90 and let's sign off. Sign off will keep you in the 5250 emulator. We'll just sign you off. Just like when you sign off from an email account or sign out from an email account, it takes you back to the login screen of the same utility. It doesn't closes the website, doesn't closes the browser. Okay. So I think this would be a good spot for us to take a break. Let's take a break till 7:50. When we come back at 7:50, we will then start with chapter number 3. Okay, remind me to start the recording. I'm pausing the recording for now, okay? Recording again. And this time, I would like you guys to, we'll be starting with chapter number 3. So that's why I'll be going in unit number 2 and starting the PowerPoint. I'm going to share my screen after that. And then on need basis, we will go back and forth to the green screen and be back. So let me share my screen again here. And chapter number 3 starts page number 81. Next week, we'll be doing chapter 2. We'll be doing chapter number 3 this week. Chapter 3 dives into objects, and chapter 3 also dives into how you perceive this operating system as to how it stores things and how does it allows multiple operating systems to run simultaneously on it, and why operating system cannot directly see the hardware. So if it can directly see the hardware, then how does it talk to the hardware? All of these questions will be answered in this chapter. So first of all, if you look at page number 81, which is the overview of the chapter, it says that IBM I operating system is an object-based operating system. I want you to look at the detailed definition of the word object, which is different from the definition of the word object that we learned in chapter number 1. It's a little bit more detailed. Objects are internal structures. Okay, objects are internal structures. And it basically, an object comprises of what? Instruction set. These instruction set allows operating system to work with the object and operating system to operate based on the underlying details of an object. So objects are the way to go for you to communicate with an object, and objects to run instructions and do stuff. Okay, do things. Almost every named entity in this operating system is an object, including libraries, source files, commands, programs, database files, user profiles, authorization list, and the list goes on and on and on. Okay. Now, diving into the chapter, turn to page number 82. IBM iOS, every object is encapsulated in a container. What is the name of the container? What do you call that container in which the object is placed? Anybody remembers that from last week? The container in which an object is placed.
Is it the spool file or no?
No. Spool file is a staging area for your output.
Oh,
The container in which the object is placed is called object type.
object type.
Okay, object type. So program object has their own container, and device object has their own container, and database objects have their own container. There are 75 containers in which different objects are placed. Why do we place objects in a container? Because when we put an object in a container, the operating system knows exactly what commands will work on this object and what commands will not work on this object. There's some commands that may work across the board on all objects, but majority of the commands don't work on all objects. For example, programs are executed, run. So the command is call. Call command will only work on program objects, will not work on device objects, will not work on database objects. Go command will only work on menu objects, will not work on any other kind of objects. So the operating system knows what command will work on which object based on which container the object has been placed in. All kinds of programs, CL programs, RPG program, Java program, COBOL program, all kinds of programs are placed inside a container called program object, and they are given an object type called PGM. Okay. Now, once they are identified as a program type object, behind the scene, it then uses another property like file extension to differentiate what kind of programming object it is. But it is very important for the operating system to know it's a program object first rather than the file extension. So that's one big difference between the Windows and others, okay, and IBM. If you may turn to page number 85, you will see some of the object types on page 85, okay, which will give you a table like this, okay. These are some of the 75 object types. Every object has a subtype. The property is called subtype. That property is equivalent to file extension property in Windows. But subtype is not the main way to categorize an object. The main way to categorize an object is object type. Does that make sense to everybody? Why we have object types? Why we place objects in containers? And what is a subtype? Okay, now let's go back to our slides here. I'm going back to slide number 7, and I'm going back to page number 82. This is a layered machine architecture. Layered machine architecture. IBM OS follows a layered machine architecture. So operating system never directly talks to the hardware. In these 5 layers, where is the operating system?
At the top,
And where's the hardware?
at the bottom.
Right at the bottom. So they don't talk to each other directly, just so that you know, just so that you can see. They never talk to each other directly. They're not even aware of each other. Let me put it this way. On Windows machine, if you go to your system, you can see drive letter C, drive letter D, drive letter E. Are those physical drives?
No, they're logical.
Maybe, maybe not. If they're physical, like some computers literally has multiple hard disks, and each hard disk could be lettered differently. On some computers, you have one hard disk and you logically partition it into C, D, E. But here, on IBM iOS, the underlying hardware is not there. All it does, it sees a one big, massive storage, a single level storage. That's what it calls, single level storage, okay? Now, let me go back to library. What is library? You guys remember that? What did I tell you about library before the break? How do you define library?
How do you define library? Is the, oh, I know. Oh, shit.
Are objects that hold references to organize the object?
It's an object that holds references, which are pointers to other objects, right? It is the sole reason is to organize objects. So library is also an object. Unlike a folder, it takes up space and it has a name, and all it does, it has pointers to storage, okay? Now, those pointers are not to the physical storage. Because remember, your operating system cannot see the hardware. So this is what happens. I want to take you back to page number 82 and 83. Underneath the operating system, we have a layer called TIMI layer. And under the TIMI layer, we have a layer called SLIC layer. You can also see that in this diagram, and you can also see that on the PowerPoint. SLIC layer is called the System License Internal Code layer, and TIMI layer is called Technology Independent Machine Interface layer. What do these layers do? I'm looking at the paragraph right below figure 3.1. The details of object interfaces, because operating system need to interface with an object, right? So IBM operating system needs to interface with objects. So the details of object interfaces are handled by the SLIC instruction, which are translated across the TIMI from the application programs and operating system instructions. So operating system provides the instruction to TIMI layer, The TIMI layer talks to the slick layer and say, I want to talk to so-and-so object. Slick layer will provide the interface to the object to the operating system. So operating system doesn't really know where the object is physically located. That's what Slick will find it for the operating system. So IBM iOS will talk to TIMI layer. TIMI layer will talk to Slick layer and say, I need to call this program. And then Slick will talk to the power hypervisor to help locate the physical object. That physical object will then be given over to the IBM iOS to work with. Okay. What is the role of the power hypervisor? The power hypervisor is where your drivers will be, your firmware will be. So power hypervisor let all the different kinds of operating systems that are running on top, like IBM iOS, AIX, Linux, all three kinds of operating system, they will only come as down as the power hypervisor. The power hypervisor will keep the underlying hardware transparent. They will all see a single level storage. And when you get that far down to power hypervisor, that's how far you can go. That's it. Power hypervisor keeps everything transparent to the hardware. I mean, like it layers hardware underneath it so that nobody can directly talk to it. It creates a virtual environment for everybody. They all think that they're talking directly to the hardware, but in reality, they're not. They're only talking to the power hypervisor. And power hypervisor does the rest of the translation back and forth. Does that make sense to you guys? The layered machine architecture. Okay. Any questions? Because next I want you to do some reading. I want you to read pages 82 all the way through 84. Whatever I just told you, I want you to read it as well in a little bit more detail. So we're going to set aside, a few minutes. You all give me a green check when you're done reading pages 82 through 84. Okay, Lewis is the only one still working on it. Okay. Everybody else got it? Does anybody has any questions? Those of you who have read this? All clear as mud? Okay. Crystal clear. Okay, good to hear that, Ian. Good to hear that. Okay. Now I am moving on to the next topic on page number 86, which talks about how do you go about locating an object? When you say I'm looking for an object, let's say you call a program and you say, call for me a program called register. It will first of all go ahead and start looking for that object in your current library. If it finds an object by name, but it doesn't find the object that matches the object type because you issued the command call, and call command can only be used on program objects. So let me share my screen again with you guys. Here we go. Okay. Let's say you issue a command here. The command goes like this. Oops, where'd the object go? Here it is. Okay. This is the call command area. Okay. You say, I want to call an object called ACT cuss. That's the object name that you want to call. ACT cuss. Now, ACT cuss, in order to be executed as an object, must be a program because you issue a call command. So it will come to your current library, and your current library does have somebody called ACT cuss. But what is the object type? What is the object type? File, right? So in the file type, no, look at the ACT cuss here. Right here in your current library. I'm just, let me draw a little box around here. And let me clear the box and give this box a red outline. Okay. I want you to check this red outline. Okay. In the red outline, look at the ACT cuss. The object type is file.
File.
Right. So that's why that line will be totally ignored because the command was call. And since there cannot be two objects with the same name in the library, the whole library will then be skipped and you will go to the next library in line. So now it will leave the current library category and will now move to the user library category, and it will start looking through your libraries to see which of your many user libraries can have somebody called ACT cuss. When it is going through that list, when it is going through that list, the first item that matches the criteria will be found in the rlib library. The name is ACT cuss and the type is PGM, so that guy will run. Okay, so that's how it locates an object that you want to get to. It first searches your current library. If it cannot find in your current library, it goes to your library list. When it finds it in the library list, it runs it. Okay. Now comes the question. Okay, understand that. Is there anybody else who is called ACT cuss besides the two that we have looked at?
Yeah, the test library.
Right, very good. If we look at our test library, the TST-LIB1 library, let me draw a box around that guy as well, so that you know what I'm talking about. Let me give it a different color. Let's say give it a color called green. I want to run ACT cuss in the test library one. How will I do that? If I issue the same command, I will never, ever be able to do this. There are two ways to do it. One of the two ways is I make a call using the call command, but before the name of my object, I write the name of the library, tstlib1 /. So let me maybe change the fonts to Times New Roman so that you guys can clearly see the 1, because this looked like an I. Okay. So when I do this, this is called qualified name search. What is it called? Qualified name search. So when you are doing a qualified search, it knows exactly what library you want and what object you're looking for. It goes to that library only, ignores all other libraries, looks for that object in that library only. If found with the correct object type, runs it. If not found, the search expires and comes back telling you object not found. So qualified libraries or qualified searches are faster, to the point, and easier to locate. Now comes another question. When I do a qualified name search, does it only looks in the libraries in the library list? The answer is no. That's another advantage of having a qualified search. It can look at any library that you have right of access to, does not even need it to be listed in your library list. But when you make an unqualified search, then it is limited to your library list. It will go through all the libraries in your library list. If it can't locate it, it'll come back and say not found. So qualified name searches are faster, to the point, accurate, and you can even look at the libraries that are not in your library list. So the main difference between qualified and unqualified searches is the qualified searches are library name / the object name. Unqualified searches are only the object names. Everybody's clear on that? Okay, let me remove that. And let's move on to our next topic, because I already talked about the qualified names. Let me talk about the library list. What did I tell you about the library list? A library list is a list of libraries that you can search for your unqualified searches. Okay? One of the ways to go to the library list of your choice is to literally type it in the command line. That's one answer to the problem. Okay? I will tell you the second way of doing it just shortly. Now, let's go back to the green screen. Let's go back to the green screen. When you guys are in the green screen on the command prompt, I want you to type this command: DSP display lib library l list. Let me type in all uppercase. It'll be easier for you to read that. Not that it's case sensitive, it'll be easier for you to see if it's an L or an I. That's why. Okay. Display library list and press enter. It shows you your system libraries, which are IBM supplied, except for one system library that we created at Gateway. It is called GTC sys. Then you have a user library. It's a current library, which is ITPA, your 3 digits. So for all of you, your current library is the same as your user profile, username. And then you all have a user library called QGPL, which is other than the system library and current library. So when I do a search, a qualified search, then only looks at my current library or my whatever library I name I provide. If I do an unqualified, then it goes through my entire library list, starting from current library and then user libraries and so on and so forth. This is how I can see my library list. This is how I can see what libraries are available to me for my unqualified searches. Okay. Now, next week, we'll be looking at some of these commands and you'll be able to practice them. This week, we are only going over these commands. So one of the commands is display library list. Now, that's a mistake in the PowerPoint from the publisher. It should be DSP LIBL, not DISP. Display library list, DSP LIBL. Slide number 23. Change current library is a command that you can use to change your current library. When you change your current library disappears from your library list. It doesn't get pushed down in your user library. It just simply vanishes from your library list. But does that mean you have deleted it?
No.
No. It's just not there as your one-stop shop, right? It's there, still there. You can always bring it back. So change current library allows you to change your existing library, okay? Add library list entry. Now that command is used. Let's say you create a library. When you create a library, the library doesn't always automatically gets into your library list. After you create a library, you issue this particular command to add that library to your library list. This is the command. We'll practice that next time. Okay. Again, this is an overview of the commands. Change library list. Now, this is another way that you can go to the library of your choice. Okay. Remember, let me go back to this here. This was the list. Okay. Right now, in an unqualified search, rlib would automatically be your first choice. If you want test library 1 to be your first choice, you will come down in the change library list and you will switch their spots. You will make test library 1 list higher than rlib, then test library 1 will be checked first. That's another way for you to run certain objects before others. Now, change library list gives you a very limited set of values to work with. You can see over here, it's not very efficient for a longer list of library. That's why we have another command called edit library list. The edit library list command allows you to list all the libraries that you have, and you can have press more, page down to see the next page. And then this is where you can change the sequence of your libraries. For example, if I want QGPL to be list higher than rlib, okay, let's say I want QGPL to be placed before rlib. So what I'll do is I'll go next to QGPL and I'll type any number between 0 to 10. Because all those numbers are either less than 10 or at least equals to 10. So as a result, what will happen? QGPL will go in place of rlib. rlib will go push down in place of test lib 1, and everybody will get pushed down by one slot. So that's how I could be changing my library list. If I want certain libraries to rank higher and certain libraries to rank lower in my list. So that's the edit library list command. Okay. Now comes the next topic. How in the world do we locate an object? I already told you, if it's a qualified search, it only looks in that particular library. If it is not a qualified search, then it looks through your library list, starting with your current library. I want you to look at this flow chart on page number 97. It's way smaller in the slide. It's way larger on page 97. Page 97, figure 3.14. Look at the flow chart. You request an object. The first thing it checks to see if it's an explicit request or not. If it is not an explicit request, it searches your library list one by one. If it is an explicit search, then it first checks to see if you're authorized to even look at that library. If you are not, it denies the request. If you are, then it goes to the next and say, okay, let's look for this library, this object name inside this library. Okay, object name found. Very good. Now look at the command. and look at the object type, and now check to see if you are even allowed to work with this object. If you're allowed to work with this object, well and good. Now let's check to see if you are authorized to work with this object. When you're authorized to work with this object, then let you use it. You see all these different checks: library authorization, object type, and object authorization. You have at least 3 levels of checks before you can use the object. Everybody follow that? Okay. Now let's move on to the next item, storing an object. Okay. Let's say you create a library. This is a command to create a library. Create library, and this is the name of your library. You want to create a library. So when you're creating a library, is this a qualified store or an unqualified store?
That's unqualified.
Unqualified, because I didn't say which library to store this object in. So this is page number 100, figure number 3.16. Okay. You issue the command. It checks to see if it's a qualified name. If it's a qualified name, then it says, okay, I want this particular library to be created. Okay. Created has a library authority. Do that. If not, then put it as a current library assigned. Okay. If it is current library is assigned. If current library is not assigned, then go and put it in the QGPL as a reference. So libraries are also created as object, and their references are in other libraries. That's why you need at least one library to start with. Okay. Now, simplified batch work management. When you submit a batch job as a user, the system places the batch job in a special place called a job queue, a line in which jobs are submitted. Okay. The job is scheduled into the correct batch subsystem. Remember the definition of subsystem from chapter 1? It's a running environment. So it places it in an environment which is designated for running batch jobs. As the program runs, the program opens a spool file in the assigned output queue. So your batch job runs from the batch subsystem, from the job queue, and when it runs, it produces an output. The output is placed in a spool file, a physical spool file, okay, in an output queue. The spool file remains in the output queue unless the queue is assigned to a physical printer, and then from there you can go and print the job. Now going back to the green screen, okay. You guys can type this command with me, but your results will be empty, right? I want to look at all the spool files that are sitting in the staging area for me. So I'll type work, WRK work, SPL spool F for file, work spool file, work spool file, hit enter. Okay. I have 2 jobs sitting in the spool file for me. Do you guys have any jobs sitting for you in the spool file?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
Yep.
So this actually tells you that the spool file, the name of the file is QP job log. It has 2 pages in it. The status is ready. You can send it to the physical printer if you want to print it. And if you want to look at it, how do you think I can look inside the job?
The display.
Display. Okay. And what kind of screen is this?
So list.
Very good. List screen. Okay. So I'll get a list option 5 and hit enter. And now I'm seeing inside my spool file what information is there. Okay. Notice it is telling me that you did this, program major in library, the program specified, the whole 9 yards that I went through. It is telling me all the requests I placed with a timestamp. This is what you did at 8:44. This is what you did at 8:57. Okay. And so on and so forth. Yeah. Go to the second log, the second job. Okay, starts telling me this is what you did at 6:57. Okay. This is what, and this is from today. Okay. This is from today. This is from Friday. I can see over here, right here, the date. It's 15th, right? And this one is from today, our session for today. That's why you all have a copy of your own activities on your end. So you can see what activities you performed at what time. And you can see these are the things that we all did today. It just keeps track of every activity that we did. Our last activity was reported to be at the following time, which was 7:57. Oh, sorry, no. It was, sorry, 7:25. 7:25 was the last activity that I performed. Okay, coming out of here. If I want to get rid of my spool files, what do you think? Which option should I pick to get rid of my spool files?
Or
4. Okay, so I go to option 4, 4, oops, 4, and I hit enter, and it just deletes the spool files. Done with it. Done with it. Okay. So spool file is a staging area where things are kept temporarily, and then they're released from there to be taken to the next step, which could be to the physical printer, or you could probably delete it if you want it. Okay. Now, look at this here. Okay. Application program produces an output data. The output data are picked or put in a spooled file. From the spooled file, it was sent to the physical printer. From there, it printed. Okay, if you want to print it. So print writer is a special program. Okay. If an output queue is assigned to a printer, an operating system job called a print writer monitors the output queue for spool files. Output queues are created automatically when you describe a new printer device to the system using a create device description command. Okay. Also remember, your objects are not one-on-one tied to your physical printer. Okay. So it's not like for every printer, there will be an object. No, we know it doesn't work like that. What we do is for every device out there, we create an object called create device description. And that object holds reference to a physical device. And that's how we link the physical devices to the operating system by creating a device description. And the device description holds the description of the device. Okay. So earlier on, we noticed that the object was, the status was ready. Okay. Now I want you to turn to page 104. On page 104, I want you to look at figure 3.19, and I want you to look at the paragraphs below that. Page 104, figure 3.19. Look at the status. The status in this case is ready and open in the picture. What does that mean? The author tells you that the output queue status could be one of the many values. If it says RLS, that means release, which means that if the queue is assigned to a printer, the printer is started and set to the correct form type. The files will print as they go to the ready state. Output queues can also have a status of held, H-E-L-D, held, to prevent the indiscriminate printing of files. Notice that some of the files in the preceding screen are in the ready status, and some are in open status. Open status tells us that the program that is creating the print files is still running and has file open. So don't print it because it's still in use. Okay, so those are some of the status. Okay, next I want you guys to turn to page 105 and read the chapter summary. And again, give me a green check when you're done reading the chapter summary. Okay. So I have assigned you a couple of activities. One is your quiz number 1, and the other one is your assignment number 1. Both of these activities are due by the 25th. So you have the whole week to complete it. Now for assignment number 1, I want this to be typed out either in a Word document or an open, Google Doc, or, some other, but I want it to be either in a Word document format or a rich text format or a PDF format. And please make sure about a couple of things. One is spell check, right? The other thing is like a sentence structure, because, you're writing this stuff for college. So just write it professionally, write it accordingly. And then look at my question number 2. And question number 2, I'm asking you to describe in detail the IBM object-based architecture. So don't just list the names that, these are the layers. That's it. No, those pages 82 through 84, I want you to put it in your own words, the layer-based architecture. Okay.
That's the hardware and the other thing, right? The TLIC or whatever it's called.
Yeah, exactly. The TIMI, the SLIC,
Yeah,
and all of
yeah.
that stuff, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And for question number 1, list and describe each of the 4 screen types. So don't just list their names. So as you're listing their names, you also need to give me a little bit of a description for each of the screen types. Like, for example, menu. Menu is one of the screen types, which is divided into 4 regions. And the top region is divided into 3 regions, which are this, and the middle is this, and the bottom is this. And then, like some description to each of the screen types. So those are the 2 questions that I want you to answer. And you turn in the stuff, turn in the document. Okay. Any questions? So Louis, you
Not for
follow
me.
on
Yes.
that, and hopefully it will be done soon so that you can have access to it. At least for this week, you don't really have any assignment for which you would have to do something hands-on. But still, I want you to be able to do these things with us as we're doing it, so that you're in the habit of doing it. Okay. So I will try to make the recording available. I'm having some issues on my home computer. I'm trying to resolve my home network. Spectrum, I don't know what has happened. My upload speed is dropped to half megabits per second. Half. Maybe if I'm lucky, 2 megabits per second. It is supposed to be 40. Okay.
Jesus.
Yes. So I'm unable to upload anything from home. I tried to upload something that was 10 minutes long, and it took 16 hours to upload that.
Holy crap.
And uploading the whole class would be like disaster, right? It'll probably be running for days. So they sent in a technician on Saturday, could not figure out what's wrong with it. So what was wrong with it? He ran different kind of tests, changed all the equipment and everything. Nothing, still the same. I called them again. They said they're going to send in another technician tomorrow. So I don't know. So in the meanwhile, I'm not on campus tomorrow. Okay. So I will probably, worst comes to worst, if it's not resolved tomorrow, I will probably copy the recording of this on a USB drive. But I'm on campus on Wednesday, then I'll try to upload it from on campus. So, I'll probably upload it by Wednesday or so. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So you guys
It
know
says
what
that
you do. Yes, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it says that this test is due on the 17th, which was yesterday.
No, I'm gonna be changing that. No, yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. So I'm glad you reminded me about that. Let's do it right now before I forget, right? So It is to be due by the 25th. Okay. So let me also make sure that your assignment is that way too, right? So your assignment should also be due by the 25th. So both of them have been now changed to reflect the correct date. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. And it's fixed. And if you guys don't have any more questions for me, then that's all for tonight. And you guys have a great night.